Welcome to our channel where we delve into the darkest corners of the human experience. Tonight, we explore the chilling reality of urban exploration gone wrong. Prepare yourselves for 3 spine-chilling urban exploration horror stories. Turn off the lights, sit back, and prepare to be terrified. Our first tale takes us to the decaying halls of Cranbrook Asylum, a behemoth of brick and broken glass on the outskirts of Ashwood. This once formidable structure now stands as a grim reminder of its dark past. Once a refuge for the mentally ill, Cranbrook is now a shell, haunted by whispers of past horrors and the echoes of forgotten screams. It's here that 3 friends, Mark, Jessica, and Chris, decided to tempt fate. Armed with flashlights, they stepped into the asylum's chilling embrace, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. The air inside was thick with decay, sending chills down their spines and making every breath feel heavy. Each footstep echoed through the cavernous halls, a chilling reminder of the tormented souls who once screamed within these walls, their agony now a permanent fixture of the atmosphere. Graffiti marred the peeling paint, grotesque murals painted by troubled minds, each stroke telling a story of madness and despair. Jessica, the most apprehensive, felt a growing unease. The shadows seemed to twist and writhe, taking on menacing forms that played tricks on their minds. The oppressive silence was broken only by the drip of water seeping through the rotting roof, each drop echoing like a countdown to something sinister. They reached the treatment wing, a labyrinth of rooms that once housed the asylum's most troubled patients, their suffering etched into the very walls. Rusted medical equipment lay scattered, remnants of barbaric procedures that seemed more like torture than treatment. It was here, in one of the dimly lit rooms, that they found him. He was sitting on a rusted gurney, his skeletal frame draped in a tattered straitjacket, a haunting relic of the asylum's cruel past. His head was lolled forward, greasy hair obscuring his face, adding to the eerie mystery of his identity. At first they thought he was a mannequin, a cruel joke left by previous explorers, a twisted prank to scare the unwary. But as they approached, a wave of putrid air washed over them, the stench of decay almost unbearable. Mark reached out with a trembling hand and gently lifted the man's head. The man's eyes snapped open, burning with an infernal fire that seemed to pierce their very souls. His lips peeled back into a grotesque grin, revealing teeth stained a sickly yellow. Panic seized them. They stumbled back, tripping over themselves in their haste to escape, their minds reeling with terror. As they ran, they heard a low growl echoing behind them, a sound that seemed to come from the depths of the asylum itself. They burst through the asylum's doors, gasping for breath in the cold night air, their hearts pounding as they realized they had narrowly escaped a brush with the unknown. Our next story takes us to Blackwood Manor, an imposing Victorian mansion perched on a windswept cliff overlooking the turbulent sea below. Once a symbol of wealth and grandeur, Blackwood Manor is now shrouded in darkness and mystery. Locals whisper tales of a family tragedy, a gruesome murder-suicide that stained the manor's history, leaving an indelible mark on its legacy. Emily, a budding photographer with a penchant for the eerie, chose to spend a solitary weekend there, hoping to capture the essence of its haunted past. Armed with her camera and a sense of adventure, she stepped into the manor's chilling embrace, ready to uncover its secrets. Dust motes danced in the faint slivers of sunlight, illuminating the decay and neglect that had taken over the once majestic home. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp wood and mildew, a testament to the years of abandonment. As she moved from room to room, her camera shutter clicking, Emily felt a growing sense of unease, as if she were being watched. It wasn't just the decay or the stories that unsettled her, but a palpable presence that seemed to linger in the shadows. The mansion was a treasure trove of forgotten memories, each room telling a story of its own. Faded portraits of stern-faced ancestors stared down from the walls, their eyes following her every move. She found a child's nursery, its rocking horse frozen mid-motion, as if waiting for a child who would never return. The air in the nursery was stifling, heavy with sorrow and the echoes of lost laughter. As evening descended, Emily felt a growing sense of dread, the shadows lengthening and the atmosphere thickening. The silence was broken only by the howling wind outside, a mournful sound that seemed to echo through the empty halls. She decided to retire to the master bedroom, hoping for a few hours of restless sleep to escape the oppressive atmosphere. The master bedroom was a cavernous space, its four-poster bed draped in dusty velvet curtains that whispered of forgotten luxury. A fireplace stood cold and empty, a stark contrast to the warmth it once provided. Emily sat on the edge of the bed, her camera beside her, and listened to the wind howling outside, a constant reminder of her isolation. A sudden crash from downstairs shattered the silence, jolting her from her thoughts. Gripping her camera tightly, she crept towards the bedroom door, her heart pounding in her chest. The floorboards creaked beneath her feet as she made her way down the grand staircase, each step echoing in the stillness. She reached the bottom of the stairs and peered into the darkness, her eyes straining to see what lay ahead. The only light came from the moon, casting eerie shadows across the foyer, making the familiar seem strange and menacing. And then she saw it, a figure standing at the far end of the hall. The figure stood with its back to her, moving with an unnatural fluidity, gliding rather than walking. Fear propelled her forward, her curiosity battling with her instinct to flee. She raised her camera, her finger trembling on the shutter release, ready to capture whatever came next. It was the figure of a woman, her long black hair cascading down her back like a dark waterfall. She was dressed in a long white gown, its fabric stained and torn, a ghostly remnant of a bygone era. But it was her face that sent chills down Emily's spine, a visage of sorrow and torment that seemed to reach out to her from the past. Our final tale takes us beneath the bustling streets of New Orleans, into the labyrinthine network of tunnels. Shrouded in darkness and steeped in history, these tunnels have borne witness to centuries of human drama, secrets, and untold stories. It's here that two friends, Jake and Ben, found themselves facing their worst nightmares, an adventure that would test their courage and friendship. Armed with headlamps and a sense of adventure, they descended into the tunnels, their laughter echoing off the damp walls, unaware of the terror that awaited them. The air grew heavy with the weight of history, the scent of mildew and decay clinging to their clothes, making each breath feel like a connection to the past. They followed a winding path, their headlamps cutting through the oppressive gloom, revealing the ancient stonework and forgotten corners of the underground. As they ventured deeper, the city's sounds faded behind them, replaced by an unsettling silence that seemed to press in from all sides. The tunnel narrowed, forcing them to walk single file, their footsteps echoing in the confined space. Jake, in the lead, felt a growing sense of unease, a prickling at the back of his neck that he couldn't shake. The air seemed to grow colder, and the silence was now broken by a faint scratching sound, like nails on a chalkboard. He stopped, shining his headlamp down the tunnel, but the beam was swallowed by the darkness, revealing nothing but shadows. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Hear what?" Ben replied, his voice tinged with apprehension and a hint of fear. "That scratching sound," Jake said, his grip tightening on his flashlight, his knuckles white. His words were cut short as a blood-curdling scream echoed through the tunnels, sending chills down their spines. They froze, their blood turning to ice in their veins, unable to move or speak. The scratching sound grew louder, closer, accompanied now by a low, menacing growl that seemed to vibrate through the walls. "Run!" Jake shouted, spinning on his heels and sprinting down the tunnel, his heart pounding in his chest. They ran blindly, their hearts pounding in their chests, the sound of their own breathing loud in their ears. The tunnel seemed to stretch on forever, twisting and turning, each corner revealing more darkness. They rounded a bend and slammed into a dead end, their hopes dashed in an instant. The scratching and growling were right behind them. Panic surged through them, their minds racing for a way out. They spun around, their headlamps illuminating the darkness, searching for the source of the sounds. Two glowing eyes burned in the darkness, like malevolent embers, watching their every move. The scratching stopped, replaced by a low growl that seemed to come from all around them. Jake and Ben huddled together, their backs against the cold, damp wall, their breaths coming in short gasps. The creature in the darkness advanced, its glowing eyes never leaving them, its presence a palpable threat. They closed their eyes, bracing themselves for the inevitable, their minds filled with dread. But the attack never came, leaving them in a tense, agonizing wait. When they finally opened their eyes, the glowing eyes were gone, vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared. The only sound was the pounding of their own hearts and the drip of water, a haunting reminder of their ordeal. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these terrifying tales of urban exploration gone wrong, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more horror stories. Remember, the world is full of abandoned and forgotten places, each with its own story to tell. And sometimes, the scariest places are the ones we choose to explore. Stay safe. And until next time, keep your eyes open and your flashlight close.